struggling to understand like the one overarching problem that they solve, right? They know a lot about how they solve problems for their clients or help their clients solve problems themselves, but they don't really understand the overarching one problem that they solve.
Yeah, and it drives them
It does.
crazy. We've had clients come to us who've spent, $40,000, $50,000 trying to get their I help statement or their elevator pitch or tagline or some version of that. They've worked with branding gurus and things like that. And it's like it always breaks my heart because I'm like, oh, like I got I have good news and bad news. The
Yes.
bad news is that none of that stuff really matters. Really. The good news is that none of that stuff really matters. Right?
Exactly.
None of that stuff really matters. So here's what we here's our philosophy because there's a really great TED talk by Sam Horn where she talks about how an elevator pitch, like typically what people they'll try to craft this perfect statement that just says all the things, and then you'll be like, I help bloody bloody blah do bloody bloody blah without bloody bloody blah, right? Like this is the typical marketing program speak that you get. And then you meet somebody and you say this, and then what ends up happening is they say, "Oh," because it's like there's so many elements to the statement that they just like need to process. Like, I don't really know where to go with this, but like, moving on, where the canopy is, right? And then they just want to leave, and so it doesn't simulate or stimulate connection. That's what you want your messaging to do. You want your messaging to create connection. And what I see with clients is that they're like, well, I am a leadership trainer. So they get really hung up on that title. They get really hung up on what kind of coach they are. And again, I'm like, if you can tell me what my title is, I will pay you a lot of money because I freaking don't know. But it hasn't stopped us from running a pretty successful business, right? Like it doesn't, again, you can call me whatever you like. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Does it affect what I do? What I'm called? Does it affect that? Not really, right? So as long as I understand what I do, you can call it whatever you like. So what we did, so today we were struggling with a client, rather a client was struggling with her I help statement, and she was just like, oh, the overarching problem that she solves,
Yeah.
and she was like, I work with leaders, and then I help them do this, and I help them do that, and we were like, really? Here's what you do, and listening to somebody struggle and use the language that they use, and we have this process that we get people through called pain and bliss, so we have this whole exercise that we get people to go through, and they really use themselves as the template, as the blueprint, and then
Yeah.
you've got all of this information, and then we're able to help you see what you're missing and then decode it, right?
Yeah.
And so what was the statement we came up with for her?
So the statement for her, or really the overarching one
Problem.
problem that she
Yeah,
solves, is she helps leaders be the leader that they respect, which is totally
exactly.
different than all the hows of I help them with this, I help them with that, I help them with the other thing, right? It's this
Yeah.
overarching boom. This is what you help them with.
And we just want to be clear, we're not dissing the house. Please don't
Absolutely.
misunderstand.
You need the house.
It's a you need the house. You need the house. The house are very much a part of the conversation. However, and we just talked about a statement. This is not the most people will think, oh, and I think a lot of marketing and marketers out there have kind of propagated this myth of once you land the perfect statement, clients will fall from the sky.
Mm.
This is not real. I'm so sorry. This is not a thing. Okay. When you learn to tell really juicy stories that illustrate the transformation that you create, then clients will fall from the sky. Absolutely. But putting it in some pretty sentence, what ends up happening, and a lot of the clients that work with us, especially the ones that have paid big money to try and figure this out ahead of time, what I've noticed has happened is that they will come to us and they have so much pretty phraseology that they have completely lost the essence and understanding of what the F they actually do.
It's so
And it's
true.
just like, and then they're like, I've spent all this money and I've come up with a statement and I don't resonate with it. Now what do I do? help me, right? So tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Is this something that resonates with you? Because so many of our clients really struggle with this. And imagine if you have lost the essence of what you do, how hard is it to explain to people forward facing when you don't have somebody else on the other side of the line, when you're just talking into the void, like on social or on a post or in an article or something like that? How hard is it to explain what you do in a way that people are like, whoa, stop the scroll. I need to know more, right? What you want to be doing is telling stories that are essentially narrating your client's existence. And so what ends up happening with this is that you're just like, wait, this stranger on the internet that I just happened across by accident seems to be describing and narrating my reality. And she just like hit me with a truth bomb. So we have a four-step process that we follow called the Bath methodology. So the T is for truth. She just hit me with a truth bomb, and I'm like, holy crap. I now understand what my problem is and sort of where it's come from and how I got here. What else does she know? Right? Like
Yeah.
that's the automatic kind of next step is, hey, if she already knows all of this about me, what else does she know? That's what great messaging is. And that's what takes you a little, that's what makes you want to go deeper into somebody's orbit and find out more about what they know and what they, what their process is. And then you're interested in the how. So one of the things that's really interesting for us is to like pause through the pain and the bliss that you bring, especially because every single person that we work with is their own client in some way. It has been their own client and has lived the transformation, either partially or fully. And so we're using them as the blueprint, and then we can pull the language out to say this is what you do. So in this case, the what is she helps people grow into the leaders that respect themselves. One of the myths that these people face is that they think they need more skill. They need to become better leaders. How they think they need to become better leaders is all the mythology of her industry. And she
Hmm.
gets to debunk those myths. And I don't want to tell you how we're doing it with her because I don't want to give away her messaging because it's hers. But that's that juicy stuff, and you can see the light bulbs going off, and you can see the resonance happening in her body, the excitement that she now has for her work, because she's just like, oh, I see what the destination is, and now I see what the myths are that I need to bust, and what are the specific hows that I need to show my clients. Be like, does this resonate with you? Do you realize that if this is the how that you take on, you're going to get there a lot faster? For example, I'll just give you one just so you understand what we're talking about. You know, setting boundaries, setting really great boundaries. All great leaders are brilliant at saying, I love you and no
Hmm.
together, right? Maria, we've talked
Yes.
about this before.
Yes. And feeling resonant in that and really feeling solid and secure in both being true. It's so true.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's so true. Those two are not opposites. And so then the leader, like what that does when somebody says no lovingly and in full integrity, it actually makes you respect them more. And that's what the leadership is that her people crave. And we knew that because we went through all her pain and bliss. So we're not we're not helping her develop like a generic leadership program. We're really helping her develop a leadership program that deeply speaks to her specific clients. And we know that they're her specific clients because we've used her as the blueprint. These are all her pains, pains that
Hmm.
she has struggled with, myths that she thought were truth, etc., etc. And so now she's in this position of deep knowledge and experiential integrity where she's lived it. She knows for a fact that this is true. And so then she can lead her people in full integrity with great joy and with that solidity where she's a leader that she respects. So again, she's embodying the transformation, which again promotes confidence, etc. Does this make sense? I'd
Oh,
love to
it
hear.
makes, yeah. Oh, yes, I know. We would love to hear from everybody if this is making sense. And I have a feeling that it absolutely is making sense because when we are resonant, when we are embodying exactly that which we teach, I mean, you can't help but see that, right? It's so
It changes
true.
the energy completely. That's what stops the scroll. That's what makes, I mean, how many people we've worked with who are like, I'm never on Facebook. I never like start click on any of these ads. I never click on any of these. I don't watch these videos. I never watch them to the end. I promised myself I wouldn't watch another webinar. They
Right.
so many, I can't tell you. Like if we had $1 for every one of those that we receive, we would just retire on that money. But it's because there is a deep emotional resonance that
Yeah.
happens when your messaging hits at that down where it all comes together, that deep level. And you're not just talking about surface stuff. Maybe you start by talking about surface stuff, but then you have the ability and you have a process to connect all the dots.
Yes, to
Right.
peel the layers in such a
Exactly.
way that your ideal client sees themselves in your message. That really is exactly what we teach our clients to do. And in fact, if you want a little taste of this, we have a really wonderful offer for
We
everybody out here.
do. We
Mhm.
do. So you may or may not be ready to work with us all the way and, come to group coaching calls with both Maria and I and get the full transformation and have us hold your hand through it. If that is not for you, if that is for you, then use the link around this video, book a call, let's explore working together. If, however, you're in a position financially where that's not a possibility for you because, at the very, very least we started, it's $5,000 and then it only goes up from there. So if that's not a possibility for you, then what you want to be doing is you want to take advantage of Impact with Clarity. And we created this. We didn't do low ticket for the longest time. Like I didn't have any kind of offer that was under 5 grand because we just didn't do it. However, after working with so many clients that struggle with this core piece, how are
Mhm.
you supposed to take action if you're not clear on what it is you want and where it is you're going? I see so many people with squirrel syndrome out there that are struggling because they just, every ad they see, they're like, maybe I should do this. Oh, maybe I should start a podcast. Oh, maybe I should start a blog. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do. There's no decision making matrix there at all. There's all of this stuff, and you're constantly in reaction to what is being thrown at you. And that doesn't work. And what I would love and what we wanted,
Mhm.
as a team, is we wanted to give you the time and space to explore and arrive at the clarity of what you want before you work with us, so that we
Yes.
don't have to carry the burden and time of you figuring that out while you're already in the program. So we actually have made this precursor program called Impact with Clarity to help you get to clarity. And I'll tell you what I mean by the word clarity, because again, it means different things to different people. Clarity is where you're able to deeply connect with your knowing, and that connection then supersedes all of the knowledge that you're swimming in on a daily
Mhm.
basis.
The noise, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, right? Because we're big information junkies. We tend to be in this day and age. And so what ends up happening is our knowledge trumps our knowingness. So the little
Mhm.
voice inside you that really is taking you onto what your soul desires for your life, that voice whispers, everybody else yells. And so then you
Mhm.
kind of lose touch with that inner whispering voice. This program is designed to put you in touch with that voice first, and then give you a taste of some of the tools that we use in our main program, like the pain and bliss exercise that we just described, really helping you figure out your why. So if you know what, your why, and your how, then you're in a solid position to know what your business needs to look like. Then you're in a position to decide, okay, who's the best person to help me now that I know what I want. Without that piece, man, it's a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of erosion of your confidence. So if you want in, we have an offer currently for 70% off the already lower ticket price point. So this is under $200 that this is available to you for. Grab that link. I don't know how much longer we're going to have that pricing available to you. So grab that link and share your homework in this group, and scroll the feed for other people who have been through the program, who are sharing some of the epiphanies that they're having, because that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, start a conversation. We would love to have a conversation with you. There's lots of other people who've already been posting their ahas and their homeworks and their questions from Impact with Clarity in this group. And that's a great way to have somebody to go along this journey with you, because these are the fundamental pieces to solid messaging that really gets to the heart of your ideal client, what they need, so that you can find that connection, just like we started talking today about.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Maria.
Yeah, it's always so fun, especially this piece. The messaging piece is really one of my favorite parts. I know I probably say that about everything, but the messaging piece, because that's the form of communication that gets to the heart of connection, and that's what we're all about at Impact with Influence. So I'm so glad we got a chance to really geek out on that today. Thanks, Gita.
Love it. Thank you.